Hey guys, today I want to do an out-of-box review for the HG Build Fighters Try Burning Gundam. Now first just want to say a big thank you once again to MindFenix Hobby Store who supplied me with this kit to just enjoy and share with you guys, so just a big thank you to them. If you guys are in Australia, definitely check them out. They're an Australian-based company. Very, very cool people, love working with them. But anyway, let's talk about this kit now. This is the second kind of iteration of this Gundam, The first one was the Build Burning Gundam, then we have this one's the Try Burning Gundam, and then pretty soon we're going to have the Kamiki Burning Gundam, which I think looks like by far the worst version of the three. This one personally is my favorite of the three, so I'm glad to have this. It's basically very similar to the Build Burning Gundam. It just has more clear parts, and the orange clear parts, instead of just being the same like what we see here, just change the colors. The orange clear parts that we have are like the flame effect parts. We'll see those in a little bit. So basically just first want to just talk about my first thoughts of this kit. I think that it's really nice. I like that it had a really solid construction. Everything is pretty basic, but everything works really well. Everything goes together really nicely, and it does have some really nice features that we'll talk about, especially when we come to the articulation. This kit is definitely a kind of close combat martial arts style mobile suit, so I think the way that it's designed definitely suits that. I really kind of wish that they would take what they've done with this and then kind of apply that to make some new HG kits from the G Gundam series. I think that's definitely due for some new kits, but that's just wishful thinking, I think. Anyway, I think they could do some really awesome kits if they did them just using the same kind of engineering that they did for this kit, but we'll just have to see. So anyway, there are a couple of loose parts as well, and a couple of, well, quite a few areas where you're going to have to do some work on the seam lines, but that's pretty expected for a normal HG. The other kind of thing about this kit that I should mention, it's not exactly a positive or a negative, I guess, depending on your own personal taste. It doesn't have a whole lot of weapons. Basically, its only weapons are its hands and its kind of flame effect parts, so it doesn't have any sort of guns or beam sabers or anything like that like you'd normally expect. So if that's something that you don't feel like you could do without, then you're definitely going to want to pass on this kit. But it's definitely offering a very unique set of accessories for this kit, just because we're not getting any of that stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the articulation. Starting off as usual at the head, it's just going to have some upward movement just about that far. It's not really a whole lot, but I guess it's probably enough. And down, again, I have no problem pointing all the way down like that. The shoulders are pretty nice. This whole section of the side kind of swings out like that. We've now seen that same sort of technology used in the new Origins HG Zaku kit. But this, of course, this kit came out first. And then I think this is not the first time this has actually been used in an HG kit, though I'm not sure, I can't remember. But anyway, it's definitely a cool feature. Then, of course, the joint here is kind of famous on this kit, the shoulder joint, because it very easily pops out, so you just want to be careful with that. It's probably going to pop out more than once during the review, but I'll try to keep it in there. The shoulder armor is just connected to the top of the arm, so it's not going to move freely or independently. It's just going to move with the upper arm. Just got the same sort of things. Let me just take this off here. Just got the same sort of stuff we'd come to expect on an HG here for the arm. Swivel there. A nice double joint there at the elbow, so some really nice movement there. And then the new thing about this kit, it's not totally new, but the nice thing about this kit is that we have a nice bend there for all of the hands at the wrist. So we got some really nice wrist action there. It's on a ball joint, and then it's on a secondary joint as well. So pretty nice movement there. And then in the torso, we've got this kind of ball section there. It's basically just two ball joints inside of there, though. We can see that just kind of pegs into there, and then that lower section is on a ball joint. So we're going to get some motion forward and back and side to side a little bit, but not a whole lot. Anyway, it's enough, I think, to get some pretty cool poses. Normally we're not really having any of that, so it's still pretty good. This front skirt armor is together as one piece, but you can separate that just clipping it in half. Side skirts are normal, back skirts are normal, as in they don't move. And everything's pretty much normal in the legs as well. We got some rotation at the top. Nice double jointed knee, as you would expect or need for this kit. Not a full 180 degrees because of this armor piece there on the back, but it's definitely more than enough. And then the ankles, again, are pretty nice. No bend in the toe, sadly. I think that would have been really nice for this kit to have that toe bend a little bit, but sadly it's not. The ankle is only going to go down about that far, not really all that much. Up pretty far, so that's good for when you want to have that like really far back, but then forward only about like that. It's okay, I guess. It's really not too bad, but a little bit of movement in the toe would have been nice. And the ankle armor just plugs into the back of the ankle joint, so that's moving pretty freely on there. It's pretty much it for the articulation. There's a backpack, but of course it's pretty simple. It's not really going to do much of anything. Now we can go ahead and talk about the accessories before we get this kit all flamed up. And here is what's worth noting as one of the pieces that's always falling off. These clear pieces that go on the front of the arms don't really stay on there very well. These clear pieces are made to be switched, so I think that's cool that you can switch them easily, and that's kind of like the main gimmick of this kit, to be able to switch those to the flaming versions. But of course that means that they're not made to press on really tightly, because then it would be really hard to switch them, right? So they're a little bit loose, especially those. The other ones are all pretty much fine. In the shoulders, I would worry a little bit about these ones popping out like that, but those are pretty much the only ones. Every other part is pretty much held in by some other part, like these parts on the legs are held on by the white armor parts. It's only really the places where the blue clear parts just plug into something just by themselves. This front piece on the front doesn't really need, see, there goes the other one. This one doesn't really come out because it plugs into there pretty firmly, but just have to be careful with those ones, especially on the front of the arms, because they can very easily be lost. But I think if you're going to have this kit on display, is probably you're probably going to be displaying it with all the flame effect parts anyway, so you're probably not going to need to worry about these blue parts getting lost while you've got it on display, because you're probably not going to be displaying it with them. So let's go ahead and pull out an action base for the kit and then talk about some accessories. Okay, so as I mentioned, the majority of the accessories for this kit are just going to be hands and effect parts, so let's go ahead and get into that. Of course, on the kit you can see I've got the closed fists, hands there, and then we're also going to have a set of holding hands. Now all of these hands have that same wrist joint, except for these. These holding hands just have a fixed wrist joint, but all the other ones are going to have the bending ones like you saw on there. They are also all going to have this gap here in the front for using the effect parts with that. Then we have these straight hands, or kind of like karate chop hands, or just open hands like that. Anyway, however you want to use them, but again, these have that joint there at the wrist, so we've got two of those as well. And then we have these two open hands like this, and those look pretty nice as well. And then we have these two clear orange hands, which we're going to use with the beam effect part, or with the effect parts, but I just thought I'd show them to you now since we're talking about hands. And then we also do have these two different connectors for connecting some like different backpack parts to the mobile suit if you want. So you can use like either one with like one plugin like that, or one with two plugins on the side, however you want to do that. Kind of stack those up, anyway, whatever. If you want to use different backpack parts on this, you can use those. Then we do have a handful of leftover parts from the Build Burning Gundam that we're not going to be using for this kit, so if you wanted to just throw those away or save those for some other project, something, if you want, you could do whatever you want with those. And then we have all of our orange fire effect parts. That's right, all of these parts are the effect parts, as well as just the parts that we're going to change out for the blue clear parts on the kit. Quite a lot of these. Of course, these ones are the ones that are going on the back. Here's the new part for inside the backpack. Of course, these are like the kicking and punching effect parts. These long, thin ones are the ones that kind of go with those. and then we've just got all the smaller fire ones. So I'm going to go ahead and switch all these clear parts on the kit, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, so here it is all flamed up. It really wasn't too hard to transform these parts, basically just popping off the armor parts all over the place, the clear blue parts, and then just putting these on. There is a certain configuration, I guess like the certain way they're supposed to go on, like the left and right sides are different, but the manual is pretty good at showing you exactly which ones are supposed to go where, so it's pretty simple to follow that. Or I guess it probably doesn't really matter. I mean, if you have them on like the right and left switched, it's just your flames will bend the opposite way. It doesn't really matter. Again, when I said in the unboxing I was worried about there being bubbles in some of the parts, I haven't noticed any except for maybe one up in this part here, and that's basically it. There was a lot of bubbles in the runners, but it looks like the parts are pretty much clean, so that's pretty good. And yeah, so this is pretty much it. It looks, honestly, it looks a little bit goofier than I thought it would. I mean, the kit's been out for months now, and I've seen like everybody and their brother building it on all the Facebook groups. So I thought it, you know, it looks alright, but it definitely looks a lot goofier once you're seeing it, when I'm seeing it in person. And of course that's just my taste. It still looks cool and interesting, but it's just, I don't really know how else to describe it other than it's just a little bit goofy. But of course just a Gundam with flames coming out all over it is just going to look that way, I guess. I mean, does it capture the power of the anime? I'm not sure, but it's definitely a very, very good attempt. I don't think that Bandai could have done it really any better than this, so I think that's definitely got that going for it. And once you get it in a bunch of different poses and stuff, it'll look good too. And add the rest of the effect parts, which I'm going to talk about now. So we've got these parts that are articulated that go on the back. It's basically 3 parts and 1 on each side. It has a couple different joints in here, so one where it can twist here, and then it can twist up here as well. Just be a little bit careful with that. It feels like if you play with it around too much, you might run a risk of breaking off one of those tabs in there. These can plug just directly into the backpack just as is, but I think you can also use these parts, which are these small little parts here, to give you kind of a little bit more range in their dynamics, I guess, on the back. So let's turn the kit around, kind of adjust his angle here. And once you've got those on and lined up, it's going to look something like that. Or, I mean, however you want to form those, you can form those in plenty of different ways. So that's one option. And then we have these 3 different parts, 1, 2, and 3. Now I've gone ahead and stuck the fists inside there, the clear orange fists. We have 3 different lengths of these kind of things coming off the edge there. You don't have to put those on, you could have it just without them, but just for the sake of this demonstration, I put those on there. We have the short length, the medium length, and then the long length. I've got the longest ones onto the big effect part that goes on the foot, but you can put them on wherever you want, or you could mix match. Like on this one you could have like 2 long and 2 short, or you know, just basically however you want to do it. It's nice that you're able to just totally customize that. So all we gotta do is just pop off the hand. Let's see, is this the right hand or left hand? This is the right hand. And put this in. There you go, and after a little bit of fooling around, it's not really the best pose, but just so you can get the idea, I went ahead and took off one of these because I guess like for the arms, these are too long, and I think this is even the shortest. No, these are the medium length ones, but even with the short ones, I think like these are going to be running into the body of the Gundam, which doesn't really work all that well. So I took off one anyway, so you can just kind of at least see that. And then it's just attached via the wrist ball joint, so it can move around to some different positions just like it would on the wrist anyway, so you can see that. The one that goes on the foot plugs on pretty ingeniously, I guess. There's a groove in the back of the foot there, and that's going to slide into this groove in here, I believe. So let me just try this. Just like that. Simple enough. Very simple actually. So there's that. Like that. Again, not the best pose, but you guys get the idea. I think the one fits onto the foot really well, and even with the longest length on there, the legs are long enough that those aren't running into the body. They run into the base a little bit underneath, but that's pretty much it. These ones on the arm are just kind of maybe too long, but I don't know, you just have to position it in the right way. So anyways, that's basically it for this kit. There's nothing else that it comes with, and there's like a million different poses and ways that you can use these effect parts in different ways, posing the back parts differently or using these effect parts differently, and all sorts of different martial arts poses. I think the kit does really well in its articulation, in that you can get it into pretty much any pose that you want. The hands that you got with it are great. I love a kit that has a really nice selection of hands, and this one's got some really great hands there. The closed fist, the holding hands. It doesn't have anything to hold, but if you had some weapons that you wanted to hold, you can do that. It's nice that we just have that option. The open hands, the flat hands, it's all really good. Everything that you would want in a martial arts kit. So I think it's definitely a success on Bandai's part. Like I said, I'm not sure if it does really capture the power of the anime, but like I don't really know how else they could have done other than this. So I think they've done a pretty amazing job with this. Despite how much I hate the look of the Try Burning Gundam at this point in time, a little bit down the road, I don't know, a little bit closer to its release, we'll see if I come around, but I don't know. We'll just have to see on that. Anyway, that's it for this review, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope that's been helpful, but I think probably a lot of you have probably seen enough of this kit already that you didn't really need too much more information about it. But if you were on the fence about it, hopefully this review has helped you decide one way or the other. If you have any questions, comments, leave those below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.